All right, we're finally on to the fourth technique, the pen tool technique in the 6th grade background masking techniques in Photoshop assignment. The final technique will be to use the pen tool to create a path and a layer. It's not the final technique. We have 2 more. We have 6 total. Notice that in this tutorial, at the end of each one, not only do I have step-by-step directions with pictures, but there's always a summary that tells you about the main steps and kind of gives you the total time that it'll take to do it and how to save it. So let's start with that. We're going to save this as our last name, Pen Tool. Make sure it's a Photoshop file. So I have my bumblebee open in Photoshop, and I'm going to go to File, Save As, and make sure that I put it in the right spot. Shared, Student Shared, Dropbox, Web Design, Photoshop, and then it's going to be my last name, which I can't seem to spell today, and Pen Tool. And then under Save As Type, I need to change it to Photoshop and say Save. Alright, so now we're going to be using the pen tool. I'm going to use the magnifying glass to zoom in just a little bit so we get a better picture of the bumblebee. We know that we're going to have to do a background layer and a drop shadow, so let's go ahead right now and unlock this layer and add a new layer and put that in as the background, and then make sure we're on the bee layer. Okay, so now we're ready to actually start editing the bee. First thing we got to do is find the pen tool. There's all these tools. Remember that if you put your mouse over it and then let go, the name of the tool sometimes shows up. Also, all of them have these little triangle in the corner. If you do what's called a hard press, it shows you all the tools that are available under that one tool. So here's the pen tool. We're going to do that. Now let's go back to our directions here, and it says use the pen tool set to paths, not shape layer, to create an outline of the object. So that's the first thing we need to do. Is up here it is set to path, not shape. We want it on path, and we are literally just clicking one point at a time all the way around the edge of our little bumblebee here. I'm going to do mine quick. Now remember, attention to detail does matter. It matters in everything we do, but definitely in Photoshop we can see when someone's been in a rush and done a not very good job. So making sure that you are taking your time to do this well does matter. It does matter about your grade, and it does show in your work ultimately what you do. So I'm still clicking around the bumblebee. It'll take another minute or so, maybe. I just keep adding points one after the other. If I mess up, I can hit the delete key to go back one and keep adding points. So I'm going to keep adding points all the way around. And since I got to the point where I started, now it's all the way around. Now, the directions tell us, I'm scrolling back up here, once you've outlined the bee completely, you can see the path all the way around it. So then you have to hit Control-click on the path layer, and then it'll turn into this dotted line instead of with the literal dots on there. So it'll go from this to this once you hit the Control key and click with your mouse. So we're going to do that, and then we're also going to have to set up a feather of 1 pixel. So here I am back in Photoshop. I need to hit the Control key and click, and now you can see that I've got that outline. Now up here at the top, if I hit selection, this window pops up, and I want to give it a 1 pixel feather, which just means it's going to soften or feather the edges of my bumblebee. So I say OK, and so you can see we call that little dancing ants around the bumblebee, and I've set it to 1 feather, but now what? Now what do I do? So now we're going to have to work over here in the layers and the paths panel. And so let's look at the directions again. Directions are great. That's what they're there for. Ooh. Except for that my screen. Here we go. Alright, so we did this. We added the 1 feather. And now it says click the layer mask icon in the layers palette. And we can see it kind of looks kind of like the quick mask icon from the last assignment. And that's going to hide the background and isolate the bee. And the example shows sort of like the shape of the bee next to the actual bee. So we're going to have to hit that icon, the layer mask icon. It's going to look like this. Then we just have to add the drop shadow and the background color. So let's do that. Here I am. This is my layers panel. I'm on the bee layer, and when I click that layer mask, you can see, voila, the background is gone. So now I got to switch to the layer tool, grab my paint bucket tool, pick out a color. Let's not do yellow or black. That's not going to help us any. Let's go with a little purple. Sounds good today. Got to be on the layer, the background layer. There we go. We have our purple. And now you can see that it's a little fuzzy around the edges. That's okay. That's not bad. And we have to add the drop shadow. So we have to make sure that we're on the bee layer. We can go down here and on the effects and choose drop shadow. And again, you might need to adjust the distance so it shows up. Say OK. And there it is. And all I need to do now is go to File and Save. And so that is the pen tool. We're done with the pen tool.